Dhamma nu Dhamma patipatiya Buddham pujami. Dhamma nu Dhamma patipatiya Dhammang pujami. Dhamma nu Dhamma patipatiya Sanghang pujami. Practicing the Dhamma in its totality as taught by the Buddha, I venerate the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Dhamma nu Dhamma patipatiya. This is the Dhamma, practicing patipatiya, the Dhamma, in line with the Dhamma. So it's the Dhamma is our practice in line with the practice that was given to us by the Buddha. Well, this morning we took a refuge, and we took refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. And earlier on this morning, we offered the candles and veneration. We bowed to the Triple Gem. But all of the bowing and the candles and flowers that we could offer are not as important as our sincere and faithful effort to practice in accord with what the Buddha taught. So Buddhism is about practice, not about ceremonies. I have had two breakthroughs of my own understanding since the last time we met. It's not a change of understanding, but it's a change of the focus. And both of these ideas are deriving from an article by Bhikkhu Analayo about purification. One idea that Analayo draws out is that the ethical framework for our sila, that's what we just took up this morning, the principle behind it is that all of the sila that we undertake has the purpose of purifying the mind and heart, removing the asava from the mind and heart. Asava is a Pali word that is sometimes translated as taint or influx or corruption. It has one meaning as something which is oozing, and it can be like if you have a boil or a wound, and pus can develop, and then if you squeeze it, like the pus comes out, and so the pus, that effluent, is the taint. Or you could say, when we're occupying a flesh and blood body, that the urine and the feces and the sweat and the grease is coming out of the body. Now, I've got a new thing because of being old. Others who are old can appreciate this, that the skin is like continuously flaking off. And when you sweep the room, it's amazing like how much dirt and there is all over the room and in your bedding as a result of this constant flaking off of falling off of flakes of skin. So this is the effluent that's coming out of the body. But in another sense, there's another meaning of asava, which is more general as to difficulties and disturbances. we want to be sure that if there's any difficulty or disturbance or ugliness or corruption or evil outside of us in the world, that those will not break through into our own heart and mind and cause our own self to become corrupted, to lose our equanimity, to lose our devotion to practice, to lose our balance. And likewise, if we find that we have within ourselves things that are difficult, disturbed, ugly, and bad, we like to restrain that so that we don't harm others as a result of what could be arising within ourselves. So this is a part of morality or sila that has to do at the social level, that we don't want to harm others. Ahimsa, non-harming, not to harm another, is actually one of the most beautiful and powerful and effective motivators that there can be to be a sincere and energetic in practice. Because, like, I think somebody who was a parent could realize that if they kind of like to party and like to, have a bad lifestyle when they were young, and maybe they would, they never went to church, or they would curse a lot, and have a corrupt life, and then they have a child, and then they don't want to pass this corruption to the child. So then they moderate their use of drug and alcohol. They begin going to church because they want to take the little ones to church, and they stop cursing because they don't want to teach the child to use that kind of vulgar language and so forth like that. So they clean up their own behavior out of compassion to give a chance for their beloved child to have a mind that's free of that. And then likewise, if you think about dukkha in the world and reflect and ponder and realize how universal and pervasive dukkha is for all of the ordinary people who are not yet enlightened, not yet fully enlightened, still touched by dukkha and affected by dukkha. And when we see that, we see the world is both suffering and also the world is in danger of going into a cycle of existence where the suffering would be greatly increased into something like a hell realm. It could be a real hell, or it could be that culture, an entire culture and society descends into a kind of a cultural corruption, that it creates a horrible hellish existence for the people who are forced to live in that culture. So when you see that, the heart cracks open with compassion, and you would like to not add one penny to the amount of dukkha out there in the world. And instead, you would want to try to become a person who is got the qualities so that somebody who is suffering, when they meet you, they would experience, oh, what a relief to be close to this person, because my suffering is less. So you want to be the type of person so that others, would feel some relief, some healing, some space, some peace when they're around you. And so there's some kind of motivations for the social motivations. But more importantly, what seems to be unique about Buddhism, as it's framed out by Bhikkhu Analayo, is the inner purification of the mind, clearing, reducing, calming the inner disturbances within our own mind and heart until they become weaker and weaker and calmer, and then eventually just go away as a result of some insight arising. And then sometimes you see something and you're not able to unsee the thing that you saw. That can be like sometimes if you saw something horrible, you cannot unsee it. It's sort of like stuck in your mind. But if you see something wonderful, if you see a glimpse of nibbana, a glimpse of awakening, a glimpse of the fruit of this practice, you can't unsee it. And so then something happens that you realize that whatever you are clinging to, you don't need it. And then that disturbance is gone for good. So then the parts of our morality that are about not using high and luxurious beds and so on are not that much connected with social harm, but it's more for our own purpose, for our own benefit, to be internally as clear as possible. And then even beyond that, practicing the practices that are given in the Sabbasava Sutta, the second discourse of the Middle Length Discourses, which is, we may go through them in more full later on, but we are avoiding dangers. We're giving up evil actions. We are using the requisites of life in the right way, and so on like that, all the way to working to find out how and let go of the hindrances that are arising in our meditation practice, and learning how to bring up, arouse, and the 7 factors of awakening, and to make those wholesome qualities to become present in us and to make them to be grown, to be sustained. All of that whole broad spectrum of practice, all the way from developing samadhi or developing concentrated meditation, all the way back down to the fundamental that you stop killing. That whole range of practice has got the overarching unified principle of the purification of the asavas, the purification of the corruptions or the disturbances of the heart. There's another sutta that I don't think Analayo did not cite this sutta, but I came to it through another conversation. It's the third sutta in the Digha Nikaya, which is Ambata Sutta. I'm going to open it for myself so that I can read it out to you. But the idea is, it's a presentation of, it's one of the qualities of the Buddha. The Buddha is supposed to say, Vidya Charana Sampanno. That means that he is accomplished in wisdom and conduct. And the this sutta, the third sutta in the Digha Nikaya, the Ambata Sutta, you almost would not catch a hold of the point or the punchline of this sutta because it's a very long story of a person who's worried about the purity of their genealogy. And it turned out that their genealogy or their ancestors were not so pure after all. The Buddha said, an aristocrat, meaning a high caste person or a Khattiya, is the first among people who take clan as the standard. But one who's accomplished in knowledge and conduct is first among gods and humans. This being accomplished in knowledge and conduct, that's vidya means wisdom, charana means conduct, and sampanna, that's accomplished. So the charana is given in this sutta as including everything from hearing the Dhamma and having an interest in giving up the materialistic lifestyle, all the way up to the fourth jhana. So the meditation practice is part of charana. And then the word vidya, or wisdom, is explained that within samadhi, or within meditation, they extend and project the mind towards the knowledge and vision. So the wisdom aspect is something that arises within meditation, but doing the work of meditation, in other words, showing up at your cushion, putting in the time for meditation, doing the practice, developing the object of meditation or the meditation procedure that is working for you, or learning a variety of meditation procedures that will work under different circumstances, being very aware of the hindrances that can arise to obstruct and disturb meditation, finding out how to avoid and abandon those hindrances when they do arise, learning how to sustain the meditation effort. That is all like preliminary. And all of these preliminaries, in a certain way, are within the realm that right effort is certainly possible. There's like enough of a personality there that you're exerting an effort on yourself for the sake of some kind of accomplishment. But then at the end, this last segment, this vidya segment, this segment that has to do with freedom, it comes to be following its own law, following its own nature. So this is where grasping is going to be counterproductive. Any kind of grasping would create a disturbance and actually prevent the arising of wisdom. At that level, there's not the grasping, not the forcing, not the willpower, but simply the state of clarity, calmness, balance, and the special type of happiness or type of the pleasure of equanimity that is arising when one has seclusion from the asavas, from the taints, from the unwholesome states of mind. So I say all this because I see in practitioners there is a certain tendency or a possibility that somebody can encounter the Dhamma for some reason and really make an effort, really learn a lot, really come into the presence of the Dhamma by being among good friends, by being in the presence of great teachers who have things to say that are from this clear and beautiful space, and then to make the effort to be really super conscientious, to make one's morality as pure and polished as a polished conch shell, to be afraid of the smallest break in having a conscientious and clean lifestyle, and then being super conscientious about like lazy thinking, lazy talking, indulging in gossip, indulging in schadenfreude, that's taking pleasure in the hardship of others, indulging in those kind of harmful thoughts in a way that you think, well, people who see the danger in this, then sometimes they forget, they go part way, and then they may begin to cut corners with their practice. And this is where I think if I had one theme or one message for you is practice the Dhamma in accord with the Dhamma. Practice the totality of the teachings that the Buddha is offering. And don't give up. Don't let go. Don't run out of gas. There is this point where you will be not exerting energy in that way that's disturbed, but instead just resting in the stillness, open, clear, empty, delightful state of mind within or coming out of the meditation practice. And here you can simply get out of the way and have the possibility for wisdom awakening and the fruit of this practice to arise.